Yo, what is good, YouTube? In today's video, I'm going to be going over the best controller settings you guys can have. They're going to help you just hit all of your shots in Warzone. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's get into it. First thing here we're doing, of course, we're going to be in the controller tab. I am playing controller on PC, but that doesn't really matter. What really matters is how you have your settings dialed in. I played on PS5 for a little bit. I played on PC. These settings are going to be universal, so do not worry from console to computer. It does not matter. So first thing, of course, my aiming input device is going to be on controller. It says my button layout here is on default, but we'll kind of expand that real quick. Pretty much I play on tactical flips, meaning that I play on the tactical, button layout, which kind of reverses my melee and my crouch button. That allows me to use my right analog stick to go ahead and do my tap to slide, all my slide canceling. I prefer it to be that way, so that's the reason I have it like that. I also like using my top bumpers instead of the bottom, triggers for my aiming and my shooting. I find that to be faster and more efficient and more effective. That is my personal preference. You don't have to play on that. This will kind of largely dictate what feels good for you, but this is what feels good for me. So we're going down here now. Of course, stick layout preset is on default, and my horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity, you guys can see this is on a 6.6. I should tell you guys this right now, that the best players in the world, the people that are winning World Series of Warzone, are not playing on a high sensitivity. So some people out there, maybe creators, other people are going to be playing on a very high sensitivity, and that's, something that they like to do and they can do it. But if you feel like you are struggling to hit your shots, you need to dial your sensitivity back, and I'll show you even more ways to be able to hit more of your shots. But lowering your sensitivity does make a big difference. And if you've watched any of my gameplay, 6.6 is not too slow, because I can for real whip it around and just basically turn on absolutely anybody in the game. So I can hit my shots and still whip it around. It is very, very nice to have this exact sense. Simplified controls is off. We don't need that. Your low motor strain, that's off. Your bumper ping, I keep that off because I don't really use it. And of course, my swap, my LB/RB with LT/RT is going to be on. I play with Scuff and Vision, which shows up as Xbox buttons. I prefer PlayStation buttons, but that's kind of how the Scuff and Vision works. So that is kind of what I have it as. Next up down here, I think this one's a little bit controversial for whatever reason, having controller vibration on or off. For me, I just kind of leave it on because it just feels regular to me. I don't really even notice if it's on or off, so I just kind of leave it as is. It doesn't bother me, but if it messes with your shot, turn it off, right? That's really what you have to think about. Now down to the dead zones here. Probably one of the more important things besides your overall sense, and something else we'll get into in a little bit, is your dead zone. So currently I play on a left stick minimum of 0, and my right stick minimum is also 0. So this makes a giant difference in how responsive your game feels. Think about it this way, that if you go to the default of 15, that is 15 degrees of where you're able to move your stick around, where it doesn't register any input. And Call of Duty being a reactionary FPS, that's terrible when you have a very high dead zone to start the movement. The thing we have down here though, where my left stick max is at 60, this means that I get the full range of motion, meaning when I slap that thing forward to go sprinting, do whatever I'm going to do, I only need to push it essentially 60% of the way to be able to get that full motion. So that makes sense. Of course, down here on the right stick max, you want that to be all the way at 99 because that's the stick you aim with. So we don't need to kind of shorten that area. We don't need to do that. That's going to totally mess up your aim. That is the worst thing you can do, but I'd recommend to have this at least on 60 just for absolutely everybody. And then your left stick minimum and your right stick minimum, try to lower it down as low as possible. Obviously, if you have a bunch of stick drift, you're not really going to be able to do it, at which point you might need a new controller, but try to get this as low as possible. 0 is going to be the most preferential, or 1 or 3 or something like that. You want to go down there. And then if you guys are wondering about my left trigger, right trigger, because I played the Scuff and Vision, basically my triggers are hair triggers, meaning that these two triggers right here on the bottom are essentially like mouse click triggers, so I don't need to have them accidentally pressing in, which is what they're doing. All right, now that we got y'all dialed in for the controller tab, we're moving over into the aiming tab. And sensitivity multiplier, this is absolutely huge. This will make a massive difference in your ability to aim properly. So we're gonna go down here, and the only one you have to worry about is ADS sensitivity multiplier, and mine is on a 0.70, meaning that I get 0.7 of my 6.6 sensitivity, my horizontal and vertical, when I'm ADSing. What that allows me to do is it allows me to slow my shots down even more so that way when I lock onto somebody in combination with a good aim assist, I don't move off target nearly as much as someone that's going to have a 1.0 or a very high sense. I can really zoom in and it looks almost as if my aim is sticky, because it's very hard for me to pull my aim off the target when I'm like actually dialed in. So having the ADS sensitivity multiplier down from that 1.0 would be good. For most people out there, I would say to probably go for like a 0.8, a 0.9. If you'd want to dial it back even more so to where I have a 0.70, go for it. I played on a 0.8 in MW3 Warzone, but I dialed it back a little bit more so for this version of Warzone. So that's what you got to worry about as far as this general tab is concerned. Close that. But what we have to do is go down into your aiming advanced settings, click on that, and we don't have to worry about the look-in version, but this right here, your ADS sensitivity transition timing, this is going to be on gradual by default. You want this to be on instant. That means that you're going to get your full ADS sensitivity, like multiplier, everything instantaneously, as opposed to having it be in a gradual build up. That does not help you at all. It's going to make your shot feel real shaky, real off. I was really confused why my shot fell off, and it's because of this setting. It made all the difference in the world when I turned it from gradual to instant, and especially after zoom. That's ridiculous. Don't even do that. I'm not sure why that's a setting. So go for instant only. You can keep this on assist. Your aim response curve type. Now this is another one people are going to kind of talk about. Standard is what I play on. I've actually played on mainly dynamic or standard. I've seen some people get real kind of weird with it, and they go to linear and they start messing with, you know, the curve and the slope scale on it. It's like, listen, just play standard, play dynamic, and you'll be good to go. When you don't have to mess with either or of them, just standard is fine as is, dynamic is fine as is. The point of the dynamic is to have that nice S curve, and the point of standard is it's just better for, you know, I guess technically speaking, newer players, but either which way, it works out great for anybody. So just to kind of clarify that, your aim response curve slope scale, which is what I was just talking about, leave it at a 1.0. You don't need to get real weird with it and go to dynamic and put it down to like 0.30 or something like that. Just plan one of them and you'll be perfectly fine. So now we can back out of this menu and keep going on down. Of course, your target aim assist is going to be on, ADS aim assist on, and we don't really need any of this, but our motion sensor advanced settings, we'll click on this real quick. It's kind of weird, but if you have this tab, click in here and just make sure that's on. Don't know if it makes a real difference. I've seen some people talking about it, and mine's been on by default. So just make sure yours is as well. Now moving it over here to the movement tab. This is something you guys have to also be very concerned with, considering Black Ops 6 has the Omni movement Warzone. First thing is your sprint assist. You want this to be on tactical sprint assist. This basically gives you that automatic tac sprint. It is hugely beneficial and allows you to keep moving around the map very fluidly. So select that and go hit that show more, and your sprint assist delay should be on 0. We don't want any type of delay whatsoever, and you can keep the sprint assist sideways and backwards on. Now we can move down to the mantle assist. I keep that off. I don't really need that. Crouch assist should be off. Corner slicing, this is up to you. It's not really gonna make or break your gameplay, but I don't really find that to be beneficial in Warzone. I just don't really use it at all. I didn't need it in MW3 Warzone, and I sure as hell don't need it in this version of Warzone. So I just keep it right there. Your slide/dive behavior should be on tap to slide, and when you hit show more, you want this to be on short. That way you can kind of do all of your sliding, diving, everything when you don't have to hold down on the stick a while. I know I used to want to jump off buildings or do certain jumps, and you have to hold down on that right stick since I'm playing tactical flipped, and it wouldn't cue in fast enough, so sometimes I just wouldn't get the jump off or the dive off, and this allows you to have the shortest possible time for that. And it's really, honestly, like, you're not going to click into it by accident and accidentally hold down. You're not going to do that. So keep it on short and make your life a little bit better, but definitely tap to slide. That's how you do all your slide canceling and stuff like that. And hit that show less button. Automatic airborne mantle, you can keep this on, off, doesn't matter. Sprint restore, keep that on. Slide maintain sprint on, and you can keep the mantle cancels reload. You want this actually to be on, because when you turn it off, the game feels very clunky. I had it off there for a while. Just keep it on. The game's gonna start feeling real bad kind of otherwise, so I just keep it right there. Now moving over into the combat tab, there's not like a whole bunch of stuff in here that we have to really alter, but we're gonna go on down with it, so we don't really have to do anything realistically in here minus your armor plate behavior. That should just be on apply all, so that way you continuously put your plates on when you're playing Warzone. It doesn't make sense to like not have that on. And now we're gonna go into the combat advanced settings, and so we have basically the setting in here, interact/reload behavior. If you're playing Warzone, this should be on prioritize interact. If you're going to jump over to multiplayer, when you're playing multiplayer, put it on tap to reload. That's the best one for multi. This is the best one for Warzone. It makes the difference. Go ahead and use that specific setting. Sprint cancels reload, want to keep that off. We don't really want that. And of course, your akimbo behavior, you can keep that on independent. And all this other stuff in here is perfectly fine as is. Now, this isn't a controller setting. Since we've gone through all the controller settings, this is underneath the graphics tab, underneath view. You want to go in here, and your FOV should be as high as it possibly can go. So for everybody out there that's playing, it should be on 120, or if you don't feel comfortable with 120, maybe like 110 or something like that. If you're playing on 90, which are the 80, which is the base, you're going to feel very, very tunnel visioned, and you won't see enough going on around you. Because when you combine that by playing on affected, you get this beautiful view of everything going on around you, and at the same time, you don't zoom in back to that 80 when you ADS. So you get a really nice sort of effect of making your guns look like they have visually a little bit less recoil because it is ever so slightly farther away. It doesn't make you zoom in. So that's a nice little hint, tip, and trick for a nice visual boost to help your gameplay. That's why people say streamers or other people have less recoil. It's largely due to the FOV people are playing on. It makes you look like you have less recoil. Also, people are just better. It's just how it is. People can control recoil really, really good. Now moving on down here, I guess weapon field of view, since you're right here as well, put that to wide. That makes your gun look a little bit smaller on the screen. We don't need it to take out more than what it does. Like the reload's already like, taking over most of your screen. So we don't need it as is to take over more. It's not going to look too small or weird. Just put it on wide. And also your first person and third person camera movement should be down to 50%. The last thing you need is anything kind of like jostling your screen around, but we don't need that. And same with your world motion blur and your weapon motion blur, keep that off. Last thing we need is it making it harder to see in game. And for the final thing for today's settings video, I want to show you guys something real cool. So right now we are in the interface tab. I want you to come over to readability, and we're going to go on down to color customization. We're going to click on that, and you're going to get this wonderful screen right here, which is going to pop up, and this is going to make your game look so much more vibrant. So we're going to have this on just basically default. I haven't changed mine. I haven't felt the need to change mine. A lot of people like to go ahead and adjust their specific colors to what they want. I don't really care to do that, so that is totally up to you guys what you want to do. But what you're going to do is what you need to change is go on down here to your color filter settings, put this on filter 2. That's the best filter. Color filter target is going to be on both, not world or interface. And you want your interface and your world color intensity to both be at 100. And you can see a night and day difference between your interface, your graphics, your game, and how much more colorful and vibrant it looks. It's not overkill, it just looks so much better and a lot less dry, bland, and dreary. So that's all the settings you guys need to know. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe with notifications turned on, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you all next time.